All right, welcome to Quarantini and Mimosas this week. Mims, how you doing, sir?
What up? What's going on?
Nothing much. About to pour up my little drinky drink early.
Okay, what you got there? What is
So,
that?
okay, so I picked up the wrong bottle. I use this one's empty. You know I've been
Uh,
drinking, but this is but this is Mozart chocolate liqueur. It is an
okay.
Austrian liqueur. It is bomb.com. You can throw out your Baileys. You can throw out your Irish cream, whatever you've been drinking. This is the new thing. It
I
is
gotta try that.
Yes, it's gluten free. It's smooth. You could drink it on the rocks. You could mix it with other stuff. I usually mix mine with milk, but today I'm gonna just drink it straight because I'm a little
So,
trying to step my game up. I'm not a baby,
oh,
right?
okay.
And
All
what are you
right,
drinking
check.
over there?
I'm not the biggest drinker, but I got a little Grand Marnier, which
Okay.
is like a little French thing going on
Yes, you gotta sip
for
that with
me.
your pinky in the air. I feel like.
Yeah, nah. Over the years, I've all the partying that I've done, like you start to get tired, I guess, of drinking alcohol all the time. So I usually try to drink something that takes a little bit longer to drink.
Eh,
Cause the vodka, after like your third glass of vodka, you already immune to vodka. You just drinking it like water at that point in time.
right, right.
So yeah.
That could be dangerous, man.
Oh yeah, it is. It has been.
At least you know your limits, and at least you know when to be like, gotta stop. Let me switch it up.
Absolutely. I'm the rapper, or I used to be the rapper in the club that people would offer 1,000 drinks to, and I'd just be like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'll fake it with like a glass of water or something. But yeah, that's me. I'm that guy.
You're not the first person I heard say that. I forget who I interviewed just recently, and they told me the same thing. It was like, yeah, I'll drink water and fake it like it's like it's some vodka. Somebody just recently told me that. So it's
Nah,
interesting.
you gotta imagine like when you because it came a point in time when you on the road, you're doing the exact same thing every night. Sometimes two or three clubs if you got a lot going on. So like, it I mean, I'm about to be 40. Hopefully I don't look it, but
No, you don't.
imagine if I would have drank everything under the sun, I'd probably be looking like I'm 80 right now. So yeah.
Yeah, alcohol will definitely age you. You definitely have to drink in moderation
Hmm.
and definitely drink responsibly for sure, for sure. So let me just formally introduce myself to you in case you're like, okay, we're doing this interview, but like, who are you? And everybody that's watching, I'm Shannon Mack. I actually have a show here on YouTube. It's called Pedis and Mimosas. If you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel because Pedis and Mimosas season 3 will be returning this summer, regardless of what's going on in the world. But Pedis and Mimosas is my own platform, my own show that I created while I was a disgruntled Uber driver, mad at the whole entire world. But it's a
I love it.
celebrity. Thank you. It's a celebrity interview while we drink mimosas and have pedicures. And it's before pre-corona. I should have been going into season 4 already, but obviously God in the world has different plans for me. So hey, I'm just rolling with the punches and just trying to keep the brand alive. So I created Quarantini and Mimosas.
Well, this
So
is dope because if it wasn't quarantine and I was on here getting my toes done, I think the focus would be on my feet right now because I haven't been to a nail salon to take care of myself in a year
wow,
since the
wow.
quarantine started. So yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want me in there.
So no home pedicures for you?
Nah, I mean, I keep it groomed, but nah, not like they do. Not like
Yeah.
they take care of you there. Right now, I'm just like I don't even want to show. I'm not bad, but I cut my nails.
I was about to
So
say it's probably not even that bad. Probably not even that
nah,
serious. But you have
you
to
know.
promise me that when I do start shooting again, because I actually do plan to do season 3, at least half of it in New York, you got to promise me that you will come on the show and we will give you a pedicure and get your feet looking the way that they're supposed to be looking.
All right, cool. You got to give me like a 6 month head start though. Let me just like start up the engine again before I start just put them out there like that. Cause
Are you one of those people that have to give yourself like groom yourself before you actually go to the groomers?
yo, you know what? Nah, I am. Cause you don't want no, that look that they give you when you take your sock off and they like, oh, they start talking different languages to people like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a long one. Nah, I don't want to be that guy. So nah, I gotta definitely like take care of a little something.
Well, I'm
I
giving
even
you
do
a
that like even when I get a haircut, like I'll do certain things before I get to the barber shop and then let my barber kind of like straighten it out.
Why are we like this? I feel like everybody does this because they don't want to
Yeah.
be embarrassed. Why are we like this? This is their
Yo, I
job. They
don't know.
supposed to hook us up. They supposed to
Yeah.
fix us up.
Nah, true story.
So I'm giving you a heads up now, sir, that I will be
Yeah.
shooting during the summer. So you got to
Just
come
get
be a
one of
guest.
I hope you don't got one of those like 6K, 8K cameras that I don't know. Too much detail is not going to be good for your viewers.
Don't
You
don't
know?
worry. The camera will not be on your feet. It won't.
Okay, good. Now
Don't
I'm
worry.
down. I'm cool. I'm down for it.
All right, that's what's up. So, how did 2020 end for you?
Ooh, that you just threw the question out crazy. That was like, all right, cool. So I mean, listen, 2020 was actually a really good year for me. I celebrated. Well, it was a roller coaster year, but I did celebrate one of the biggest things that I've ever done in life, which was have a child. Like my first child was
Congratulations.
born, in March of 2020. He's actually going to be 1 year old in a couple
Wow.
of weeks, in a week. So I mean, for me, it was 2020 was a different experience because, yeah, I mean, I went through some craziness. One of my uncles passed away from COVID, and
Mine
I had to
too.
bury
I'm
him
sorry.
literally like via the phone. So sorry to hear that. So I think for me, it was a roller coaster, but more on the celebratory side because I got to spend a year not moving, like literally just hanging with my son, like just embracing fatherhood for the first time. So I mean, for me, I think I probably look at it a little different than a lot of people.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because, yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't have that story. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't. A lot of people went through a lot of more downs than ups for 2020. So, congratulations. So, what does it feel like
Thank
to
you.
be a first time father?
Yo, honestly, I've been training my whole life for this. I know a lot of people will meet me and they see my personality, be like, man, you're gonna make a good father. So I think for me, just actually experiencing it, being able to see the milestones, like from him taking his first steps. Like I said, when you're an entertainer, I missed a lot of things in
Yeah.
life because I was on the road. But this is one of the things that I can say that I'm here. Like even though it came later in my life, I had my first child at 39 years old or 38 years old. I
We
think,
think that that's later, but I think that the timing of that is perfect.
I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it just allowed me the way it's been set up for me. It's allowed me to really like embrace fatherhood. And you know, honestly, it's probably the hardest job that I've ever had, but it's also the most, the best job that I've ever had.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So, has your son, even though he's only 1 year old, has he taught you anything new about yourself or new about life?
He's taught me how to soften up, I guess I would say being a businessman or being business oriented, you have to kind of have this militant attitude about you. So everything is more like, yo, let's, timing, like it's got to be now, right now, and I think when with him, I've literally just like learned to embrace not putting anything too crazy on my schedule or just learn to embrace being in a moment. So if anything he's taught me is just to soften up and be more affectionate, be more compassionate, and appreciate the smaller things, like the not I didn't say smaller, but the simpler things in life, like just being home, which 10 years ago would have drove me crazy. But now I'm like, yo, I need to get back home. I'm looking at my watch when I gotta get out the house. I'm like, yo, I want to be home. So I think that's what it's taught me.
Nice, nice, nice. And
Yeah.
outside of fatherhood, has 2020 taught you anything new about yourself, this whole pandemic? Maybe something that you didn't know prior to this.
Yeah. You know what? We were talking like off before we started recording, and I said, I'm not a social media person. Like I'm like the worst. Like I don't post anything. I don't. I'm like the person that if I did post something about being somewhere, it's like 5 weeks after, so no
Yeah.
one knows when I move around.
That's
So
not necessarily a bad thing, but go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, I'm that guy that does not like to do anything via social media. But I think what 2020 has taught me, is to embrace uh it's to embrace, like I even with my child and my son, but just to embrace the moment, because life is short. So it's convinced me that I'm not doing anything for anyone else anymore. Like this is the time for me to really kind of, I've done a lot of stuff for other people in my life, but this is the time to really focus on me, my family, just the people around me. I think the last post I have that I posted up was a post of my child and myself, and I left it with an excerpt from Bob Marley, and he was asked by a reporter if he had a lot of possessions like money and things like that, like how rich he was, and he was trying to ask, and Bob Marley's response was priceless to me. He said, when you say possessions, what do you mean? You're talking about money. He's like, I don't have that kind of richness. My richness is life forever. And that to me, I haven't been able to post anything else because I feel like I can't top that post for me internally, because it's true. It's like, yo, what more could you possibly want in life? I think the beauty of where I am now is that I'm happy. Like, I'm literally happy being simplified, not having to worry about certain things. And 2020 has taught me that life is so short that some people worry about chasing the unicorn all the time, and then they never get to enjoy really what's in front of them. So, that's where I am in my life now.
That sounds like that needs to be on a t-shirt, sir. People are so worried about chasing the unicorn that you don't focus on what's in front of you. That's prophetic. It's true.
Oh yeah.
It's
exactly.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. I think I might have to steal it, and then I might give you a cut.
Nah, go ahead. See, that's my point. Go ahead. It's yours. You got it. Just blow it up, make it hot. It's all good.
No, but it's true. Like, this pandemic has forced us all, and I mean, I'm hoping that most of us get it, because all of us haven't gotten it. But for me, I will say, for me, it definitely has forced me to be like, yo, for real, like, really understand that life is short. Like, not just say it, but just feel it. Saying something on the surface and actually feeling it like in your soul and in your heart is two completely different things. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
This year for me, I can totally agree with that. Totally. So how did you bring in 2021, pandemically speaking?
I was asleep. You know what's crazy? I am like, all right, so there's been years where I will be in the middle of like whatever country I'm in. Like, I think like for like 3 years straight, I did Dubai. New Year's Eve, I'm in Dubai, the ball's dropping, fireworks are going off. And then there's times where I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna go to sleep. It's 11:50. Or 12:05, like I'll say Happy New Year, then I'll knock out, wake up the next day, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we in the new year, what's next?
Yeah.
So this year in particular, I didn't do anything. I mean, it was 12:05. I'm happy to see another year. I think we all like took a breath of relief. And then I think, I don't know, maybe I speak for everybody on this one, right? Like when 2021 hit, it was almost like, all right, breathe out, breathe in, we're here. And then everybody, like the next day, people are like, well, what's next? Like, what's going to happen now? So, I have this running joke that I tell myself, like, we went through last year started crazy. Like, I mean, from the death of Kobe Bryant, which was like major. And then, a month later, the coronavirus, I know Pop Smoke died last year. So it was like, Chad Boswick passed away. Like, it was just one of those years you're like, come on, like what else? What's next? And I think 2021.
It was wild. It was like a chain reaction, one after another thing. Like,
So I'm waiting for Armageddon. That's what I'm waiting for. I mean, what
what
else do we have at this point? Yeah, Armageddon must be next.
So. For sure. Yeah. So 12:05 hit, you was just drawing snores.
I was knocked out. I'm a early riser, and so I'll get up 5 a.m. sometimes. So I'm like, by the time 10 p.m. rolls around, I'm in bed.
Do you think that that's because we are in a pandemic? If we weren't in a pandemic and you didn't have a kid, would you have been out turning up, or this is just the new Mims that we see today?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me, you know what? I at a point, I mean, it hasn't happened in a year because of the pandemic, but I've gotten paid to perform, for New Year's. So I think for me, there's a job aspect to it. While other people like look at it from a celebratory standpoint, it's almost become more of a job for me. And I get used to like when I'm not hired to do something, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do the total opposite. So like for me, really, if I'm not getting paid to party and go out, I'm home. I'd rather just be home chilling. I've done enough partying in my life to kind of like to be like, okay, cool. Now I'm cool. I'm not gonna go. I'm cool as shit. So yeah. I enjoy just being home. Like I enjoy just being able to relax and not have to deal with the pressure of, oh, let's go out, let's turn up, let me get dressed. Let me find a ride home. I don't know, whatever it is that you do.
Right.
And then I also save my partying for when I'm like in different countries. So I'm experiencing a different style of partying because, I mean, you're in New York, right? So like New York parties after a while they started getting lame. Like, and I'm gonna tell you a story. Like this is like a real life story, and I never understood this. I remember I would say like 5 years ago, I pulled up to a club. One of my boys was hosting a club night in Washington Heights, and I had pulled up to the club, and I pull up, they let me in. And the first thing they always ask is, yo, how many bottles you want? It was just me. I was by myself. And I'm like, okay, I don't really drink like that, even though we sipping. I'm like, okay, give me one just to support the night. I know I'm not going to drink and I'm going to give it away. And then the waitress looked at me, said, that's all you want, just one? And I remember looking back, I'm like, because they're so used to like, the people coming in, the scammers come in, popping bottles, making it rain or whatever they do. And I'm like, damn, like it's to the point now where I gotta buy 5 bottles just to have a table to be by myself.
Right.
And I after that I knew I was like, I can't party in New York no more. It don't even make sense because you got to compete with people that you don't even really want to compete with. So,
and how pretentious is that too? Like,
listen, it's more power to you. If you have the power to pop 1,000 bottles in a club, and then wake up the next day and not be hungover,
and still be functional.
I'm cool with that. But I think for me, what I realized is that and a shout to all my people out there that do parties, because I know a lot of promoters. I'm not knocking it, but there's got to be like an age limit on when you're just like, you know what? Nah, I'm
over
cool.
it.
Yeah. Like there's got to be like, I don't know if it's like 35 for like men. I don't know what it would be, but it should be like some type of age limit where you're like, okay, I'm gonna just go to the bar, get my one drink and chill instead of, I got to buy 100 bottles in the club. So,
or can we graduate to day parties? You know what I mean?
I like day parties.
Yeah, I can do a day party. Yeah, that's a
Yes.
different vibe. But yeah, the nighttime clubbing, waiting on the line. I said the same thing you said, and I'm not even no celebrity. I was like, if you're not paying me to host, and if somebody's not escorting me and I don't have to wait on this line, I'm not going.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I can't. It's too much. So would you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, would you say that you're somewhat retired from the rap game? You are. Okay.
I've been retired. You know what's crazy? My people hate when I say this. But I've been saying this since 2011. I want to say 2010, 2011 was when I officially was like, yo, I can't. I mean, I tour because touring is different. You get to kind of go around, perform, but from actually actively making music, I don't really go in. I don't have a passion to go in the studio and record anything right now. I think that the nature of music and the business is different, and it's cool. Like I'm not against what's going on now. I just feel like I don't have the same competitive spirit that I had when I first started many years ago. So I'm retired. I use that title, and people in my camp hate when I say it, but I am.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel it, and I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Like if it ran its course, and if it did what it did when it was supposed to do what it do, then it is what it is.
Yeah, I was one of those guys. I remember, one of the things I hate about being Black and successful, as they would call it, is when you pull up, like if I'm driving a car or something, or one of my cars, and I pull up somewhere, people automatically assume like you're a professional athlete or a football player, and I'm like, I used to hate that. Like that was like I would always say, no, I'm a medical doctor. Like I would always lie and be like, nah. So I never wanted to kind of like introduce myself as a musician because I kind of felt feel like it always gave a stigma,
Yeah.
certain stigma. So I mean, the minute that I could feel like I could retire and be happy about retiring, I'm cool with it, because it's not that I didn't embrace music and what it's done for me. I feel like my retirement from music doesn't determine what I was able to do later on in my career, like in technology and, you know, in management and things like that. No one expected me to be in, that I've made just as much money, if not even more, doing these other ventures. And, you know, that's always been the problem. I think every professional athlete, artist, they all have the same issues. Like, if you're not rapping, what else? And, you know,
Yeah.
I just so happen to be able to jump in some other fields.
Yeah. And some of those fields are, you can go ahead and talk about it right now.
Technology is the big one. I launched in my first music platform or music app called Creator, which I think I
Nice.
have the
Yeah.
hat on. Which I'll talk about the app. It allows anyone, no matter where they are in the world, to use their cell phone as a recording studio. And the reason why I did that is because I kind of felt I wanted to kind of like democratize the recording process. I feel like so many artists start to record music, but they can't afford to, you know, to really kind of just even have fun. So I wanted to give them a tool to use, to be able to collaborate with different producers. So you go on the app, you literally download the music, unlock the music right on the app, record right in the app, and then push it through your social sites. And I came up with this idea in like 2012, and then or 2013, and then I think 2017 I won a competition with which was called TechCrunch Disrupt, which is the most I'm going to say it, like the most renowned accolade for a startup.
Okay.
And I was able to achieve that as a not only a minority owned company, technology company, but also a music based company, which had never been done before. And when I broke that barrier, I kind of felt like that was my calling. Like, okay, cool. Now it gave me purpose after music to kind of continue, you know, to be an entrepreneur. So that was one of the ventures. Then I went into the whole management side and managing artists, producers, writers. And then as of recently, now I'm into food service industry. So I'm opening up restaurants, or a couple of
Look at
things that I got
you,
going on.
quite
So
the entrepreneur. I love that. I love to hear it.
yeah, you know, trying to diversify, as they always say.
Awesome. And are these restaurants in New York? Have you opened up any yet, or is that just a plan, or what?
So currently I have the first venture I did, believe it or not, was a food truck. And I did this mid pandemic because I felt like I didn't want to go into a mom and pop shop where it didn't make sense because people weren't necessarily dining in. So I partnered up with a couple of my friends. We created a food truck establishment. And honestly, it is killing the game right now. It's called Taste Buddies. It's an empanada based. Well, right now we call ourselves the street food specialist, but it's an empanada based business. And I mean, I'll talk about the metrics, and I prefer to talk about the metrics not because of what I earn, but just because if anybody else out there has an idea of like getting in the food industry, just the truck alone probably brings in anywhere between $1,000 a day. You know, so you figure, and this is like a deeper conversation. I don't want to like drag it, but there's so many things that go on in this world that what happens when we grow up in our communities, we just want to be entertainers. We want to be athletes. Mm-hmm. We don't realize that there's like a plethora of things that we can do that bring in income. And in particular, this is a business that I don't have to be at, that I can literally get on my iPad and watch as sales come in. And I think that's something that people need to know. Like, yo, there's other things out there that you can do to bring in money that don't necessarily revolve around the glamour of what we think is bringing in money.
Right. That is what's up. What about, there's two things you mentioned. So wait, what about those persons that don't necessarily have the money to start? What if they do have a dream about, you know, starting a food truck truck business, or whatever the case is, but they don't have the startup money? Their credit is bad, won't get approved by. Yeah. What do you recommend that they do?
I mean, there's so many.
It's not so cut and dry. You know what I mean?
You're right. That's a great question. I think for me, what I realize is, you know, we all start somewhere. So even in the beginning of my music career, I had to convince people that, yo, I had to convince people to invest in me. I think that if you don't have the finances, then you should work the hardest you can on convincing people to invest in what you're doing. And that doesn't just mean, hey, let me get money because I want to open up a business. Like, show them what the business can generate, show them how you would operate the business, show them what the monthly expenses would be. And I think for me as a businessman, if I see people, the business has to make sense. It has to be something that I'm aligned with. And I see a vision for, but even for myself, like if someone comes to me and says, yo, I got this idea, but it's more than just an idea. Here's the metrics. This is what it's going to take to open it up. There's so many people that are like me that'll be like, okay, cool, let's make it happen. And honestly, the food truck is a great example. I was in, I have a studio. I didn't mention that, but I have a recording studio in Long Island, which is where my food truck now is. And I was walking into a meeting because the businesses in the building that my studio was in, they were affected by COVID. So they were all meeting up to say, hey, well, how can we survive through COVID? We're all hurting. And, I watched them sit in a meeting and come up with ideas, and they were great. And I said, yo, fellas, you ever think about this, and this and that? And they were like, okay, cool. Well, that sounds great, but how are we gonna make it happen? And I said, well, just let me know if you want to make it happen, and we'll make it happen. 6 months later, we opened that business up. So I think that, just like I said, if you just make sure you're in the right places at the right time with the right people, and you're always constantly learning what it is you're trying to get other people to invest in. If you know it, if you know your shit, hopefully I can curse and you can blank it out later. Then I think that there's a lot of people that would actually invest money in anybody who brings something to the table.
Very, very, very insightful. That's what's up. And another thing you said that you got to really talk about this one. You talked about partnering up with friends. Can we talk about that? Because let me tell you, I have a big fear of getting into business with, maybe because I haven't found the right friends to go into business with, and the ones that I've been bumping into, it is extremely tough. And I'll be damned, because I'm one of those people. I'm like you, like yo, we gonna make it happen. You know what I mean? But it's like certain things. It's like I want to, but then I don't. But then I want to, but then I don't. And I always shy away from it because they always say, don't get into business with friends. So can you talk about your experience about partnering up with friends?
You know what? It got to be the right people. Here's the truth, right? If you have a friend that you could go at it, like literally go at it with, like I'm talking about damn near come to blows, but then 5 minutes later you cool, that's probably the right scenario. If you're partnering with people that are like kind of like on the fence from a friendship standpoint, I would say don't do it. I think that it takes a special kind of person to people to kind of because business, I always tell people, like, in business, there's no such thing as ego, right? You can't have an ego in business because ego and business don't mix. It's like oil and water.
Right.
And I think, I've partnered up with some people, and, especially people of color, just like myself. And I think the first thing that always happens, is ego. Like, yo, the ego comes in and you're like, okay, damn, I didn't realize it. And then here you go. Like, now you kill a friendship and you kill
that destroys
business.
everything.
Yeah, it does. So it's tough. I mean, I would sit here and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have people I partnered with that have been friends that at some point you're like, okay, cool, I can't do this anymore. But then there's obviously people that, like, like you said, you guys can go at it, yo, blah, 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 yo, F you. And then 5 minutes later, got to be 5 minutes later.
Right.
Yo, what you want to eat, bro? Like, I'm hungry. Let's get some food, So,
right.
I think the dynamic of any great business relationship is to have no ego. And here's the other side of it, right? I don't go into business thinking that I'm going to be in that business forever. Somebody wise always taught me, always have an exit plan, right? So any business you create, you should always consistently be thinking about an exit. And I think what that does is it helps people understand. So, for example, if I open up a business and I'm transparent in the beginning, and I say, look, this is my thoughts. Once this business gets to so forth and so on, I'm out. I'm not,
Yeah.
this is my input and I'm out. And then what it does is it builds expectations for someone else to say, okay, cool. He said that he's not going to be able to do this, this, and this and that. So I can't expect that from him. So now I got to kind of go find someone else out. But when people aren't transparent about that stuff from the beginning, you tend to kind of get these hiccups. And then, and then that's when the ego gets involved, and that's when the bad business dealings happen. And, it's a trickle effect. So I don't have all the answers on that one. I won't lie. But I do know that there are people out there that I consider great friends, and we've made great money together. And even till this day, we may go at it about something, and 5 minutes later, yo, so what you trying to eat? So you got to have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, that is amazing. Wow. So you're all up in the business space, man, making all this money. No, this shmoney. Let's be clear. I love that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Well, before I ask that question, so you have the creator app, you have your food truck business, you're retired from the rap game. What else can you tell us that you're working on that we can go find and support you and,
So this is probably going to be more of a nerd conversation. So a
no
few
problem.
years ago, as I got into the technology industry, I also started to invest in this industry called blockchain technology. So like a lot of people know blockchain for stuff like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin, the stuff that people invest in on Coinbase and things like that. But I actually took it a step further, and instead of me just being an investor in crypto, I actually went and created my own token. And the purpose of the token is to actually bring more transparency into the music industry. So I created a music token called Tune, which is based on the Ethereum protocol, which, like I said, is going to sound real nerdy. But what that does is what my hopes for it to do is to build transparency in the music industry when it's time for artists to get paid, to also reward fans for actually sharing content and music. And I'll break down what I mean for both instances. Like 10 years ago, I had this record. I wouldn't say 10, damn, maybe even more than that. I had a record called "This Is Why I'm Hot" that went skyrocketed.
Wait, what record again? I don't know if I heard it.
Yeah, I know. It did what it did, and it was an amazing record for me, and it launched my career, and I'm grateful for it. However, it came to a point in time with the record, I grossed, I think that year, I grossed about $15-16 million, somewhere in that range, close to $20 million that year on the record. However, my first check from the record label was like 30 grand. So I'm like, yo, what? I'm like, Apple's, it was literally like, yo, what the hell is going on? I remember too, because I had just bought like a $90,000 drop top, like, because I was about to celebrate the big check coming in. And when I got the check, I'm like, damn, like I just bought a car that was 3 times the amount of this check. And it showed me that and like I said, everybody has their own. I'm not gonna knock anyone with a record deal right now. And I get it, it's life. But what it showed me was I put the power of my career in the wrong hands.
Mm-hmm.
And people always ask me, well, why I retired in 2011. Well, here's the reason. I went through a 7-year litigation. So from 2007, I immediately went. Once I got that check, I was like, okay, cool, lawyer. Let's get my money, and I went through a 7-year litigation. I paid probably upwards of like maybe anywhere between $300,000 to $500,000 in legal fees to go fight to get my money back. And that's a longer story than it is, but eventually I didn't get the decision that I would have wanted. I didn't get the money back that I would have wanted, and really just ended up paying the legal fees for what I was deserved. So they robbed me essentially.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I never want, if I'm going to create and I'm going to push the culture forward, I want to create something that's going to stop stuff like this from happening. So hence me doing the blockchain initiative to building this token that kind of helps with transparency. And it's still in the works. It's not something that's probably going to take effect for another, 3 or 4 or 5 years, but I'm a part of the building process of that.
Planting seeds. That's what it's about.
Exactly. And then I think the other side of it is, is rewarding fans. Like, so when you share, if you hit, a friend up and you're like, hey, check this new song out by this artist. I feel like you should get rewarded for that. I feel like the fans should be paid and compensated for sharing artist music.
Right.
And artists should be rewarded, but so should the fans. And I think with blockchain technology, we have the ability to do that now. So that's kind of one of the things I want to. Those are one of the initiatives that I want to start.
Awesome. Really,
Yep.
really awesome. So can we talk real quick about your retirement? I want to go back to that because I want to know, because I just realized that something happened to you, which is what kind of like prompted you to want to retire. So is there still love for the rap game? Is there still love for the industry there? Is there still a passion for music? Is that still there, or did that leave too when you retired?
I think, I mean, so here's the real answer to that, right? So like, there's always a love for music. Like music, if you knew, like if I really got into my story, like I was raised in Wash Heights. I went to school in Harlem my whole life. Was a single parent. My mom was a single parent mother who raised me and my brother. My father passed away when I was 11. My mother passed away when I was 13 years old. So I think for me, when people ask me about music, when my mother passed away, the first thing I did, and the story is actually longer than what it is, but she had bought me, and it's funny because if you look behind me, I don't even know if you see, but I got like turntables back there somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I got two turntables. When she passed away, she bought me two turntables. And I think after her death, like I dived into music as like a refuge. Like that was my place to go just to get away from, like, you know, I was an orphan to the state of New York. My grandmother took custody of me and my brother. My mother had just finished having my sister. 2 weeks later, obviously she passed away after giving birth to my sister. So like here I am with all of this stuff going on in life, and I dived into music as a result of it. So for me, when you ask about music, the love of music is always going to be there because that was what I needed to kind of get through that difficult time.
Yeah.
But I think the industry part was what jaded me. And I think people don't realize, like I've gotten called every name in the book, from one hit wonder to, you know, whatever they could call me, the wackest rapper in the world. I've heard it all. Mm-hmm. But what you don't realize is like what a person may be, you know, what triggered a person for being in something, or what triggers a person. And I was man enough to kind of walk away, where a lot of other artists get stuck and they're like, okay, well, what should I do? I was like, this doesn't define me. This doesn't make me, but never, ever will I, let something that was more personal to me be diluted because a company wants to just kind of make money and then throw away the key. So I walked away. Like I walked away. My first deal was I think $800,000 or $900,000. $900,000 that I got from the label. The second deal was $1.2 million for both those albums. So combined, you're looking at over $2 million in an advance for doing the music. And I could have went to any record label after I decided not to deal with mine. I mean, I had offers and I was like, no, I'm not interested, because I knew at that point in time that wasn't my calling. My calling was a lot bigger than just being a musician. And if I want to make music, I got a microphone, literally. I mean, I swear to you, I'm not even lying. Like I got it. I'll open it up just so you guys see. Like, I got the equipment. It's all here. I got a lot of equipment. I could, but I'm only doing it. I'm only doing what I love, that I'm passionate about. And I no longer want to do things because I have to more than I want to.
So Mims is living unapologetically.
Absolutely.
That's tight. That's what's up. When was the last time you recorded a song?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll do like somebody will hit me and be like, yo, can you drop a verse to this? And if I'm cool with them, I'll do it, just because it just gives me like, it may not even go out or go anywhere, but it just gives me one of those like, just it gives me a moment of nostalgia. It's a moment of nostalgia for me, just to kind of sit behind that mic. So I would say like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's been a minute, but like 2 or 3 years ago, the last time like I actually recorded a verse. I don't even remember who it was for though, but definitely a long time ago.
You ever get that itch?
If I'm in the shower, I'm freestyling. If I'm in the studio, which, like I said, I didn't I'm still involved in music, but yeah, I mean, sometimes I deal with artists and I'm like, yo, you ever thought about, you know what it is? I remember like last year I managed an artist by the name of Little Juice. His claim to fame was through social media. He used TikTok to kind of blow up. And I would spend a lot of time in the studio with him and I'm like still that guy that sit in the corner and watch the young people do what they do. And then one day I was like, yo, let me just pen up a little something. And then of course, like you see all these young people in the studio, like, like, oh damn, I didn't realize. So yeah, I mean every so often, but it never for commercial use. It's just to just have fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you would rock this entire world if you dropped a song right now or drop
I
anything.
need to, yeah, I should, right? You
You
know what?
should.
Maybe after this interview, it'll spark my like, that vibe in me.
Like, surprise, bitches.
How that might be a great headline. Like, yo, 15 years removed, came back, another number one record. That I don't know if anyone's ever been able to do that, other than like maybe like a Mariah Carey or whatever. I don't know, but
Never know.
yeah, exactly.
Never know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what's up.
yeah,
That's what's up.
yeah.
So this quick little segment here is called Lessons Learned. So I'm just gonna drop.
Okay.
And you just tell me the biggest lesson that you learned. Okay.
Okay.
So biggest lesson learned as rapper Mims.
And you probably hear my son in the background crying. Biggest lesson learned as rapper Mims. Ooh, damn, that's a tough one. I've learned so many, but the biggest one is, do what you love. I would say never make it about the money. Just always just do what you love. Like never try to make it about money. So as a rapper, yes.
All right. Biggest lesson learned as a Black man.
Oh wow, that's so many. As a Black man, you know what? I would say this. I start a lot of companies that don't work out. I do a lot of things that, I mean, we talk about the things that have been great, but there's obviously ventures that I've done. And I'm consistently trying to help educate fellow, not just Black men, but just Black Americans on just, on being an entrepreneur. And I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned as a Black man is that we gotta stick together. Like as weird as that may sound, it's the hardest thing sometimes for people to do, but we gotta stick together. There are so many other ethnicities and races that you go to their neighborhoods and they police their own neighborhoods and they buy in and they support. But we as Black people, we don't support enough Black businesses. We don't show love to enough Black entrepreneurs. I mean, yeah, we have the ones that we do show love to, like the Jay-Z's, the Diddy's, but let's show love. I'm show love to you, for what you're doing. And I think if we do this more often, not just do it for publicity, you would realize how powerful we are. I had a Zoom call a few days ago with some really, really good people, but some retired athletes. And the senses of the call, everybody wants to make money. So I'm put it out there. But the beauty of the call was that they were all trying to figure out an initiative that whatever they can do to help bring awareness to Black culture and build it up. And I think right now, if coronavirus and COVID has taught us anything, is that this is our time. Like coming out of this, when this shit is all over, it's going to be our time to like really take control. So I mean, I'm for it. Like let's figure out how to do it together and support Black businesses, man. Honestly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, biggest lesson learned as a father.
Patience, I guess. Because I mean, my son is 1, so he's like still cute. He's in that cute phase, but sometimes he'll like throw the bottle on the floor when he's finished eating, or he'll like he'll do things. But I think as a man, right, as a Black man, you always want you always want to we like I said, we always have this like militant vibe to us. Like, I don't know if that's just because growing up you never wanted to like show the love side, the caring side, but I tell my son,
because if you show that side, you look soft and you look like a sissy and you look like a punk.
Exactly.
When that's just the furthest thing from the truth.
And I think for me, like I tell my son I love him every night. Every day, not every night, but every day, every time I get the opportunity. And I kind of want him to know what love is. I didn't grow up with a father, so maybe that's why I'm so gun ho on it. But yeah, I mean, patience and take the guard down. We don't gotta always be hard. We don't always gotta have this persona as a black man of, oh man, I'm the hardest thing in the world. Nah, like there's nothing wrong with like just being fun and happy and I used to have this joke like, yo, I never want to be too thugged out to not be able to put like rainbow sprinkles on my ice cream cone. You know what I'm saying? That may sound stupid to people, but like some people are so militant that like picture them asking for like, yo, let me get a cone with some rainbow sprinkles on it. Like we don't gotta always be hard. Sometimes you just gotta let the guard down. And I think my son is teaching me that. And I'm appreciative of it.
Nice. And then lastly, biggest lesson learned as an entrepreneur.
You know what? This is a great question. And I'm gonna challenge people, especially in social media. I think this is more about mental awareness, right? We have a lot of people in the world that like are mentally not there. And I think because a lot of it is because when you look at social media, every time you turn it on, you see people winning. It's always the wins. Like it's never, they don't show the losses.
Yeah.
And that's why I stay away from it, because it could be demoralizing. Like when you look at someone and they're showing like for example, I invest in stocks, right? So this year I did okay. I've done decently. But sometimes I'll be seeing people post stuff and they're like, oh man, I made $100,000 on Robinhood. And I'm like, damn, like, well shit, what am I doing wrong? And I think what happens is we're afraid to post the losses. We don't want people to see when we mess up. And I don't like that. Like, I feel like as an entrepreneur, you got to show the world, and I'm hoping that they're listening. Yo, I've messed up a lot. I've made mistakes a lot. I've ruined money so many times in my life. I've made deals that don't work out.
Yeah.
I start companies that I got to shut down. I got a company now that I got to shut down. I just shut down one before the year started. You invest money sometimes that doesn't work, but get back on the horse and keep moving, keep pushing. It's not always going to work. Everything you do as an entrepreneur, you might have 1,000 losses and one win, and that one win makes it worth it. And that's the truth. Like I don't know about 1,000. I mean, I'm not that bad, but
I get you.
we gotta start showing the real side, because I think it's fucking people up. Like people's mentality of thinking, yo, I'm not winning. So like some people are even harming themselves. Like, oh man, I'm not winning, but I see everybody when I turn on the internet, they're driving Ferraris and they're living in mansions. And then people can't take it, and they're like, yo, I can't deal with it. And I think that we have to start showing the losses, so people know that this is not always a win. So
there's a lot of L's.
Oh yes.
Lot.
Yes, absolutely. And I want people to realize that, like, yo, the resilience is what matters, right? Like being resilient to losses is what makes a good entrepreneur a great entrepreneur. Is when you do lose, how quick does it take to bounce back? And if I could tell like a last story, I know you want to wrap this up.
You could.
I'm gonna tell you one of my losses, right? This is gonna sound crazy, but it is what it is. 2013. I decided because I have this thing with cars. Like I buy these exotic cars all the time, and I throw away a lot of money, but I love cars. Like when I was a child, I just had a fiction for cars. And 2013, a dealership, one of my relatives hit me up, was like, yo, I had a Range Rover at the time, brand new Range Rover, and I only drove it for a year. Like, yo, if you want, I got a dealership that's buying these Range Rovers. And of course I'm like, okay, cool. I sell them. I sell my Range Rover, and I went and bought another one. And then I bought a Bentley shortly after. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I put basically all three cars were on a lot for consignment later in like 2014. and the person who had the cars on the lot ended up shipping the cars out the country, stiffed me on the whole bill, like literally everything, of $500,000 in cars, and he fled the country. And he was wanted in the state of New Jersey. So he basically flattened me out $500,000. This is 2014, and I had to hit the reset button. I had my apartment in Edgewater. So if you're from New York, nice apartment on the water, overlooking the whole New York City skyline. I had to hit the reset button. I had to leave that situation. I had a lot going on at that time that I literally just had to reset and start over. And not my fault, but I got robbed. I got scammed, and I think I hit the reset button. And that's why I say when you talk about losses, it was about my resilience, because when I got out of it, like it took me like 2 weeks. Like I went into like this little depression type of vibe, like, yo, man, this is messed up. What am I gonna do? And then I snapped out of it, and lo and behold, man, like that year was bad. When 2015 came, hit the reset button, technology company, just a bunch of stuff that worked out. And I think for me, like I said, I'm really just big on showing the losses so that people know it's not always going to be pretty, but if you just have resilience, you'd be good.
Word. I put up a status on Facebook the other day that said, the only reason why I'm winning is because I went from I give up to I'll figure it out.
There you go. I'm still that one. All right. Putting that on the shirt. Honestly, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. This was such a great conversation. Like this really.
I didn't see you drink that one time, but it's all good.
What? I didn't see you drink not one time. What? My cup is finished, sir.
I know. I'm trying over here.
But before I let you go, because this was such a See, here's the thing, and I say this on a lot of interviews. Like one of the things that I fear is that people come watch an interview and be like, what did I just watch? Like I always want to leave people. I want people to leave feeling educated, more motivated, more inspired, more whatever, you know what I mean? And this conversation right here was amazing. And that is the reason why I like Instagram Live, because, you get all the interaction. Like people would have been like, I mean, they're going to love it regardless, but I think I like the interaction with everybody leaving the comments and everybody,
I got to try it out. I got to stop being a stickler. I'm going to try it out one day. I'm going to try it out. I just,
I completely understand. Trust me, I do.
You know what it is? So many people. I mean, I take a lot of phone calls. I never try to dodge anybody, but there's just a few people that, they're persistent. Like, yo, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, and then, they see you on Instagram. Now they know where you at. Oh, you in New York? Okay, let's go. And then my phone started blowing up. So I'll try it out. And in lieu of what you're saying, I think I should give it another shot at some point. And we could do this again when the world opened back up. Maybe we just sit in the same room and do Instagram Live.
Word, for real. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your insightful gems that you dropped over the past 45 minutes to an hour. Like it was great. Like I enjoyed all of it. Before I let you go, we have to do a toast.
Yes.
I will let you do the toast, sir. I always put my guests on the spot.
You know what? No, I'll take it. To the losses. I mean, to losing and getting back up and being resilient, man. This is what life is about. Don't be afraid to lose. We here.
Absolutely. Cheers to you, sir.
Cheers.
Nice. So please give your son a hug for me, even though I don't know him. But babies are amazing. Babies are so special. And keep being great. Like we need your light. We need your energy. We need everything that you serve in the world, because it is great and amazing. Thank you for your time. And don't forget that when I start shooting again, you got to come be on the set of Pedis and Mimosas. And, we're going to hook you up, hook your feet up.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure my toes is done already. But no, I'm with it.
Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Thank you.
Bye.